you want to talk about that one? Because time management's a big one. So we could put this as tip number 2 and talk about it, because I think people really struggle with time management as entrepreneurs.
Yes.
What would you?
I actually developed a planner for that, because for me,
Nice.
there was no planner that was actually, answering all of my needs. But yes, time management goes to, like I said, I will think about, first of all, you start with your 5 years vision, and you have to be like super clear on what you want, and you write a day in 5 years, how is it going to be? And you need to write it in the present tense and feel it in your bones. Like if you're like, I'm walking on the beach, well, you need to feel warm and the sun. And so the more you feel it and the more you live it, the more it's real for your brain. And it's like, okay, that's where we're going now. That's pretty cool. And then you take that 5-year vision and you'll take it down to 1 year. So in your next year, what can you do to go in the direction that will bring you to your 5-year vision or your 5-year dream? And it doesn't mean that it's going to happen in 5 years. It just means that you are on your way to making it happening. And then when I take my, like I said before, I take my year, I break it down into quarters. And then I break my quarters into months, my month into weeks, and my weeks into days. And every single night before going to bed, I look at, and actually I do it like at supper because my brain is a bit more awake, but I look at my day coming the next day. And I even color code my meetings and all of that. Like pink is my personal, so that's massage, stuff like that. Or my kids' activity, green will be like what brings in money. Blue is my, anyway, I'm not going to go through all the colors, but you get the idea. So I'm very visual. So for me, when I look at my week and my day, I have a good idea of what's coming. And, you always have to have your basic. So in network marketing, you need to prospect. Yes, that is part of it. You need to talk to new people. And my mentor always said, talk to 2 new people a day. So when I started, I was just like, this week I'm talking to 40 people a day. I'm just going to fast track all of that. Well, that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
But that's how I was thriving. So I've learned.
Were you able to do it for a little while?
Well, maybe 2-3 days, but then after
you're burnt out. Yeah.
Nothing works because it's not sustainable and it doesn't make sense. So 2 a day makes sense. 5 days a week makes sense, but it's so mundane that you're like, that's not how I'm going to get rich. That's so silly. But yes, guess what? That's how you're going to create success. So, I have that in my planning of every day. I have that. Reading a good book, 20 minutes, listening to a podcast, my physical activity. So I find place in my day to put it. And these are non-negotiables because these are like, one is my self-care, my personal health. The other one is my business. So I want both. You find place. And the trick that I will give everyone, don't ever plan more than 60% of your day. That too, when I started, I'm quite extremist. I went in and I was just like, 8:15, 8:30. And guess what? The minute that if your coffee is not ready on time, you're already late in your day. So then it's just like major stress. And then your kid calls you from
brilliant.
School. Yeah, your kid calls you from school.
I love that you're saying that. Yeah, because I do that. Exactly what you're saying. It's like, oh, I'm trying to show it here, but let's see. Hold on. I got to scroll this because this is just so good. Okay. Don't ever plan more than 60% of your day. If that is something you take away from this right now and you live it, like, that's a bomb of awesomeness for time management, because you're right. I think what most people do is they pack their schedule full and then they beat themselves up the second it gets off. And that beating themselves up causes a snowball of just things to go awry for the rest of the day. Then they end the day feeling low energy, like, crap, I didn't do it again. I don't feel good about myself. Then they pile it onto the next day, and then it just stacks and stacks and stacks and feels like you're constantly under this weight of a mountain, and it doesn't feel good.
The other little tip I have is, don't ever put more than 2 or 3 to-dos a day.
Yeah.
And if you're an overachiever like me, you're like boom, 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 boom. And then it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to achieve them. And exactly like Amanda said, at night, you will beat up yourself. So never more than 2 or 3. But these, again, are non-negotiable. You don't go to bed until you did them. You know? And like for me, approaching 2 people is part of my three
Yeah.
things to do.
Well, and to me, it sounds like you're very wise about what you choose to do with those 2 to 3 things. It's highest ROI activities, right? So the reading is a higher ROI activity because you're investing in yourself and aligning your mindset and your energy. And then you're going, okay, calling the 2 prospects a day is going to get me 10 prospects calls a week, which is then going to actually turn into however many per month, which is so much more sustainable than, like you were saying, oh, I'm going to call 40, then you don't really do it. And then the month goes by and you've actually called like 3 because the stress of seeing the number 40 was so overwhelming that you never did it. Yeah. Brilliant. I love
And
this.
also,
These are
like,
great practical tips.
another thing that my mentor really taught me is I used to go to bed, and especially when I was a single mom, beating myself up pretty hard, like, oh, I didn't, give enough quality time. I didn't give this. I didn't, blah, blah. Name it. The list was so long.
Yeah.
And it's like, instead of that, when you go to bed, think about one thing or 2 or more if you want, but at least one thing that you did during that day that moved you towards your dreams or towards your goal. Because we all did one. And if it was that you just stuck to your schedule, that's a huge thing. If it can be anything, but just think about one thing positive that you did to move you in the right direction instead of beating yourself up with what you didn't do.
Yeah. I mean, do you see this a lot? I know you must, because I see it with my people I get to work with a lot too. It's like the problem of beating yourself up. And most of it is from putting too much on the plate. It's like high achievers are go-getters. They put way too much on their plate. And they usually, the interesting thing is, like, let's say in work life, someone is kind of cracking the whip when you have a W-2. You have to finish that stuff. When you start your own business, you get to manage your time. So what I've noticed is that usually high achievers, they keep that, it's like cracking the whip on themselves. And building a business is such a long-term process. And if you're trying to do it all at once overnight, you're going to go to bed every night beating yourself up. And so you've really got to focus on the wins. So what Caroline is saying here, everyone, super valuable. Like, if you go to bed at night and you're laying in bed and you notice yourself kind of going like, I didn't get it done. Here's my to-do list. Just tell yourself real quick, just stop, change. I'm going to focus on the one thing I accomplished today that made me feel really good about myself. And then go to bed like that. And you're actually programming your subconscious mind to feel better the next day. And the more that you do that, like we've been saying, that's that 1% habit that over the course of a year, you'll wake up feeling really good. And when you feel good, you're more magnetic to money. So it's like this positive effect all the way around. So it's really cool. I love it. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. You've given many more tips than 3 already. So what would you say is your 3rd tip that's beyond time management?
I would say that the 3rd and last one should almost be the first one. It's personal development and self-care. It's all about you. And I remember when my son was a baby, he was little, he was a preemie, so he was like 4 pounds. And 5 pounds when I took the plane with him. And I heard, about the oxygen mask, put it on yourself before your baby. And I was sitting there thinking, like, she is so cold-hearted. Like, what kind of mother would she be? And I had all these judgments in my head. I was younger too, but now I totally understand that, because if you don't have enough oxygen, guess what? You're not going to be of service to your family, your kids, your friends, your business, and yourself.
Yeah.
So it's really important. And actually, I've heard that so many times when I was younger, like even the gym, if you want to go to the gym, it should be in your schedule. And I was just like, whatever, they don't know what they're saying. Like, I'll go when I have time, which means you never have time because there's always something else.
Yes.
So yes, you need to plan your self-care, and personal development is crucial. Like I always joke with my kids when they say something like, oh, why this, why that? I'm like, don't worry. I have a fund for you for school and a fund for therapy. So you'll be good. You will need therapy one day. I just don't know why.